Most people who start raised bed gardening think they're doing everything right. They pick a good spot, they buy decent soil, they water consistently, and then, mid-season, something goes wrong. The plants stall, the yields disappoint, the lettuce bolts, the tomatoes crack, the beans barely produce. And the frustrating part? It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't a bad season. It was one of 8 very specific, very fixable mistakes, most of which happened before a single seed ever went into the ground. Here's what nobody tells you up front. Raised bed mistakes don't announce themselves early. They hide for weeks, sometimes months, and by the time the damage shows, your season is already gone. In this video, we're going through all 8, in order of how much damage they actually do. And I'll tell you right now, mistake number 3 is the one most experienced gardeners still get wrong. We'll get to that. But start from the beginning, because mistake number 1 is the only one on this list you genuinely cannot undo. The most permanent mistake you can make in raised bed gardening is placing your bed in the wrong location. And here's the belief most people hold when they're starting out. I'll just put it wherever it fits in the yard. That thinking will cost you an entire season. Most vegetables that people actually want to grow, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, squash, beans, require full sun. Not partial sun, not morning sun, a minimum of 6 to 8 direct hours per day. Position your bed on the north side of your home or in the shadow of a fence or tree, and you haven't built a food garden. You've built a very expensive shade garden. Here's how to think about it correctly. If you're in the northern hemisphere, your bed wants to face south. The sun arcs east to west, but it tilts toward the south throughout the day. A bed with its longest side running east to west, fully open to the south, catches the maximum arc of light from early morning to evening. Before you break ground on anything, spend one full day watching how light moves across your yard. Where does the shadow from your house fall at 9 a.m.? At noon? At 4 p.m.? If you want to do it without standing outside all day, use a free tool called SunCalc. Enter your exact GPS coordinates and it maps the solar path across your specific property for any day of the year. This mistake is listed first for one reason. It is the only mistake on this list that cannot be corrected without tearing everything down and starting over. Every other mistake you can fix mid-season or at the turn of a season. This one means rebuilding from scratch. Get the orientation right before anything else. Raise your hand if this sounds familiar. You set up the bed, you plant everything. The first couple of weeks you're out there every morning, coffee in hand watering before work. It's actually enjoyable. Then life happens. A busy week, a few mornings missed. You come back out and something looks wrong. Wilted leaves, stressed plants, soil bone dry 3 inches down. That's not a discipline problem. That's a planning problem. Raised beds dry out significantly faster than in-ground gardens. The confined soil volume heats up quickly, especially in metal beds under direct sun. The same drainage that makes raised beds so productive also accelerates moisture loss. A standard 4x8 raised bed needs approximately 20 gallons of water per week during a typical summer. Miss 2 days during a heat wave, and you're looking at blossom drop, bitter cucumbers, and seedlings that don't recover. Drip irrigation is roughly 90% more efficient in water use than overhead methods, and it keeps water off the foliage, which directly reduces fungal diseases like powdery mildew and early blight. A basic drip kit runs between $20 and $50 and can reduce your overall water use by 30 to 40% compared to hand watering. But here's the thing. Hand watering works perfectly well if it's your actual plan. The failure happens when it becomes the default fallback instead of the intention. Decide your irrigation method before you plant a single seed. Set it up, commit to it. Retrofitting irrigation after your plants are established is messy, disruptive, and 10 times more work than planning it from the start. Here's the mistake I promised you at the top. And the reason it catches even experienced gardeners is because it looks fine at first. The plants germinate. They look healthy for the first 3 weeks. And then, nothing. They stall. The leaves start yellowing. You water more. You fertilize. Nothing changes. What you're actually watching is a soil structure failure, masquerading as a nutrient problem. The common belief: I bought raised bed mix from the garden center. That should be fine. Here's the reality. Many bagged, raised bed mixes, and virtually all basic topsoil becomes compacted in a raised bed environment within a single season. Once compacted, roots can't expand, water pools and suffocates root zones, and the microbial life that actually converts organic matter into plant-available nutrients gets crushed out of existence. Your plants aren't sick, they're trapped. The mix that consistently performs, the one serious growers have refined over decades, is straightforward. 1/3 quality compost, 1/3 aeration material like perlite or pumice, 1/3 water-retentive material like coconut coir. This ratio creates drainage, airflow, and moisture retention working in balance. Compost should never be a single source. Layer it. Aged manure, worm castings, leaf mold. Diverse organic inputs build the microbial diversity your soil needs to feed your plants for the long term, not just week 3. If budget is the constraint, use a technique called hugelkultur. Fill the bottom half of a deep bed with wood chips, straw, or unfinished compost. It breaks down slowly, feeds the upper layers, and cuts the amount of premium soil you need to buy in half. Here's the principle. You are not feeding your plants, you are feeding your soil, and the life inside it feeds your plants. Get the soil right and everything else becomes easier. Get it wrong and nothing else you do will fully compensate. And stay with me through this list, because mistake number 7 is the one that ruins beds that were working perfectly. Most gardeners don't see it coming until year 2. Think about the last time you saw a healthy forest floor. No bare soil, no exposed dirt baking in the sun, just a deep layer of organic material. Leaves, decomposed wood, natural debris, covering and protecting everything underneath. That is what your raised bed is trying to replicate. And bare soil is the opposite of that. When you leave the surface of a raised bed exposed, the sun crusts it. Water runs off instead of soaking in. The soil biology, the fungi, bacteria, and microorganisms living in the top few inches, gets cooked season after season. And what you're left with is structurally degraded soil that needs more amendments every year just to maintain the same baseline performance. A 2 to 4 inch layer of organic mulch, straw, shredded leaves, or wood chips cuts watering needs by 20 to 30% through reduced surface evaporation. It moderates soil temperature. It suppresses weeds without chemicals. And as it breaks down, it feeds the biology underneath. One practical note, wood chips used on vegetable beds can temporarily tie up nitrogen in the soil during decomposition. Keep them as a surface layer only, never work them into the soil, and monitor for yellowing. Straw is the cleanest option for most vegetable and herb beds. Apply mulch after planting. Leave a small gap around stem bases to prevent rot. Top it up as it breaks down. This single habit will change the consistency of your garden more than almost anything else on this list. Here's the thought that destroys more first-year raised beds than almost any other single decision. The seedlings are so small, I can definitely fit more in here. You've thought it. Most gardeners have. It feels logical in the moment. The transplants are 2 inches tall, there's all this open space, and the spacing on the seed packet seems excessive. It isn't. Overcrowded crops fail not just because they compete above ground, they compete underground. A mature tomato plant's root zone spans 18 to 24 inches. A crowded root zone means direct competition for water, nutrients, and oxygen. Stressed plants become disease-prone plants. And in the enclosed environment of a raised bed, a fungal problem in one crowded corner spreads fast. Overcrowded beds are also significantly more susceptible to powdery mildew and botrytis, both of which thrive in the humid, low airflow conditions that dense planting creates. You don't just get lower yields, you risk losing the whole bed. The fix. Plan your layout on paper before you plant. Use the square foot gardening method if it helps you visualize spacing. If you've already overcrowded a bed this season, thin ruthlessly. It feels wrong to pull healthy seedlings. Do it anyway. The plants that remain will dramatically outperform what you'd have gotten from the crowded group. Discipline at planting time pays off every single week until harvest. Wrong internal plant placement. You've oriented your bed correctly. Full southern exposure, 6 to 8 hours of sun, and then you plant your tomatoes at the front. By week 6, those tomatoes are 4 feet tall, and everything behind them is growing in their shadow. This is a subtler version of the orientation mistake, and it happens inside the bed itself. Tall plants cast shade north. If your tall crops are on the south end of the bed, their shadow falls directly onto every shorter plant behind them. Your peppers wonder why they're struggling. Your lettuce bolts from stress. Meanwhile, the tomatoes are thriving, right where the light is, while blocking it from everything else. The internal layout rule is simple. Low growers at the south end, medium growers in the middle, tall trellised crops at the north end. Leafy greens and herbs up front. bush beans and peppers through the center, tomatoes, pole beans, and climbing cucumbers at the back. Think of it as a theater. The tallest people sit in the back row. Everyone else gets an unobstructed view. Map your bed layout before transplanting. Even a quick sketch on paper prevents this entirely. No crop rotation. This is the mistake that doesn't punish you in year 1. It punishes you in year 2, and it gets worse with each season after that. Planting the same crops, or the same plant families, in the same bed season after season depletes the specific nutrients those plants require, while simultaneously building up the pest populations and soil pathogens that target them. Plant tomatoes in the same bed 2 years running, and you're creating ideal overwintering conditions for the exact diseases and soil pests that target tomatoes. Research on crop rotation consistently shows that well-implemented rotations can deliver 10 to 15% yield increases by year 3, and reduce fertilizer requirements by 25 to 30% compared to beds without rotation. That's real food and real money from the same amount of space, just managed differently. For home gardeners with multiple beds, the simplest system divides crops into 4 families: nightshades, tomatoes, peppers, eggplant; brassicas, cabbage, broccoli, kale; legumes, beans, peas; and roots, carrots, onions, beets. Rotate each family 1 bed forward each season. The critical insight most people miss: legumes are your soil restorers. They fix atmospheric nitrogen back into the root zone, which makes them the ideal predecessor for any heavy-feeding nightshade the following season. This is centuries-old agricultural knowledge that still holds up completely in a modern raised bed system. Even with 1 or 2 beds, you can rotate within the bed seasonally, assigning each section a different plant family each planting cycle. The principle works at any scale. Pull out the summer crops. The bed sits bare through October, November, December. Feels like a natural pause. The garden is resting. It isn't. Bare soil is actively degrading. The sun breaks down organic matter. The structure you spent money building deteriorates. The microbial life in the top layers goes dormant or dies off. By the time spring arrives, you're not picking up where you left off. You're rebuilding from a baseline that's measurably worse than where you started. The best raised bed systems never have bare soil, ever. There are 3 approaches, and any of them will protect and improve what you've built. Option 1. Apply 2 to 3 inches of quality compost across the surface and let it sit through the cold months. By spring, earthworms and soil organisms have worked it into the top layer for you. No effort required. Option 2. Plant a cover crop. Winter rye, crimson clover, or field peas will protect the soil surface, fix nitrogen, and when cut down in early spring, break down as a free, nutrient-rich green amendment right where you need it. Option 3. Apply a deep layer of mulch through winter, pull it back in early spring, and plant directly into the protected soil underneath. The goal is the same with all 3. Your soil should be improving every month of the year, not just the months when food is growing. The gardeners who treat the off-season as seriously as the growing season are the ones whose beds produce more every single year, not less. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Raised bed gardening, done right, is one of the most powerful things an ordinary household can do for its own food security. A properly managed 4x8 bed produces hundreds of dollars worth of vegetables every season, but only when the fundamentals are in place: sun, water, soil, space, rotation, year-round care. None of these are complicated. They just have to be known before the mistake is made, not after the season is lost. You now know all 8. One last thing. Every single person watching this has probably already made at least one of these. That's not failure. That's how real knowledge gets built. Drop the one that hit closest to home in the comments below, because someone watching this right now is about to make that exact same mistake, and your comment might be the thing that saves their season. Good luck out there. Now go build something that lasts.